Kurdistan هر وڵاتێک نابێ بەچەق.
The protests sparked by the death of Jina Amini represent the greatest challenge to the Islamic regime of Iran since its founding in 1979. Her case symbolized not only the general discontent with the regime, but also the intersectional oppression she faced as a woman, a Sunni Muslim, and a Kurd. Although she is often referred to as Mahsa Amini, the name listed on her official documents, her real Kurdish name is Jina. In Iranian-occupied Kurdistan, Rojhelat, Kurds are forbidden from registering Kurdish names. As a result, nearly all of the roughly 10 million Kurds in Iran are forced to have a second Persianized name. This is why Kurds around the world emphasize her true name, Jina Amini, instead of her imposed name, Mahsa. With that context out of the way, who was Jina Amini? What happened to her? And what consequences did her death spark? Jina Amini was born on September 21, 1999 in the Kurdish city of Zakhes in Rojhelat. She grew up in a loving and caring family where her parents and younger brother played central roles in her life. The family, like most Kurds in Zakhes, were Sunni Muslims, a fact that historically created tensions with Iran's Shia rulers. Among relatives and friends, Jina was remembered as a warm, shy, and deeply caring person. She was never politically active, nor was she a public figure. She was simply a young woman known for her laughter, her devotion to her family, and her dreams of building a future. She enjoyed spending times with her cousin, helping with household chores, and participating in family gatherings, an important part of Kurdish culture. Like many young women, she loved fashion and cared about her appearance. At the same time, she was respectful, diligent, and devoted to her family values. Her relatives later stressed that she was cautious, reserved, and never someone to seek trouble or defy rules. Still, her life, like that of millions of Kurdish women in Rojhelat, was shaped by both her ethnic identity and her gender. Being Kurdish in Iran meant systematic marginalization, and being female meant living under strict laws that controlled women's clothing, behavior, and presence in public. Yet Jina herself was never a political dissident. Everything changed, however, in September 2022. While visiting Tehran with her family, she was stopped by Iran's so-called morality police, who enforced the country's compulsory dress codes for women. They claimed that she had not been wearing her headscarf properly. Witnesses reported that she was violently arrested and forced into a police van. Within hours of her detention, Jina collapsed and was rushed to the hospital. For 3 days, she lay in coma, while her family kept outside her hospital room and pleaded for answers. Authorities claimed that she had suffered a heart attack due to pre-existing health conditions. Her family strongly rejected this explanation, insisting that she had been perfectly healthy. Eyewitnesses and fellow detainees later testified that she had been beaten by the police. On September 16, 2022, at just 22 years old, Jina Amini died. Her death sent shockwaves across Iran and the world. At her funeral, mourners chanted the Kurdish women's movement slogan from Rojava, Jin Jiyan Azadi, which means women, life, freedom. The slogan quickly spread, becoming the rallying cry of a mass protest movement. What began in Kurdistan soon spread across the entire country, from Tehran to Mashhad, Isfahan, and beyond. For months, young women cut their hair in public, removed their headscarves, and marched alongside men, demanding freedom, dignity, and justice. This uprising became the largest challenge to the Islamic Republic since it seized power in 1979. The regime responded with violence and repression. Thousands were arrested, many were tortured, and hundreds were killed. Yet, despite the brutality, people continued to resist. Jina's name became not only a symbol of one woman's tragic fate, but also of the broader struggle against systematic oppression in Iran. In Kurdish cities, the uprising was particularly fierce. Portraits of regime leaders were torn down or burned, and clashes between protesters and security forces erupted. Kurds in the west, Baluchis in the east, and other marginalized groups rose up together against the regime. Internationally, Jina's death sparked outrage and solidarity. Demonstrations were held across Europe, North America, and the Middle East. Governments, human rights organizations, and activists condemned Iran's actions and demanded accountability. Her image appeared on murals, posters, and banners worldwide, making her one of the most recognized symbols of women's resistance in the 21st century. For her family, however, the loss remained painfully personal. They remember her not only as a symbol of resistance, but as their daughter and sister, someone whose life was cut short far too soon. The protest lasted over a year. In the end, many leading figures of the movement were arrested and sent to the notorious Evin prison, where many remain under harsh conditions, beaten, tortured, and even executed. The regime eventually suppressed the uprising, but each wave of protest grows larger and more widespread, bringing Iran closer to the point where repression will no longer be enough. Jina Amini remains an enduring symbol for Kurds and others around the world. Though the protests were crushed, her name, her story, and her martyrdom will never be forgotten.